Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at NDN TV Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button and be the first to get notifications.
In over a decade, the Nigerian economy has been reeling under massive oil theft, prompting the federal government to deploy security agencies to safeguard critical national assets in the oil fields of the Niger Delta. In the following documentary, we examine the federal government's renewed onslaught against oil thieves, whose activities in the last 16 months have brought the petroleum industry on the brink of collapse.
Last month, President Muhammadu Buhari declared war on oil thieves operating in the Niger Delta and directed Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timmy Silva, Group Managing Director of NNPC, Malam Melekiare, and Chief of Defense Staff General Lucky Irabo to flush them out of the region. In carrying out the presidential directive, a combined team of security agencies as well as operators and regulatory bodies in the petroleum industry, led by Chief Timmy Silva, visited the Niger Delta recently to undertake an on-the-spot assessment of crude oil theft and illegal refining of petroleum products. During the visit, it was discovered that there were several insertions on pipelines directly connected to oil terminals through which crude oil is siphoned and stored at various locations. Crude oil, otherwise known as the black gold, is subsequently sold on the black market. Speaking during the recent visit, Chief Timmy Silva noted that a new strategy involving oil companies, security agencies and host communities had been devised to halt the menace of oil theft.
We are actually determined to stop it because we know that we can ill afford a continuation of this insecurity in the oil industry.
For several decades, oil and gas production has been the fortress of the Nigerian economy, which successive governments have been unable to diversify. It appears the chickens have come home to roost as international oil companies operating in the Niger Delta are relocating on account of massive oil theft. Going by statistics released recently by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, the country lost a whopping $4 billion to oil theft between January and December 2021. The NNPC further reveals that additional $1.5 billion has been lost to oil theft in the first quarter of 2022. The country's main regulator of the petroleum industry identifies the Trans-Niger pipeline and the Nembe Creek trunk line as the most threatened oil assets that are no longer operational as a result of colossal oil theft. At a rough estimate, about 95% of national oil revenues is said to be currently appropriated by oil thieves in Nigeria. Group Managing Director of NNPC, Malam Melekiare, while addressing members of the House of Representatives recently, observed that daily oil production at the Bonny terminal had nosedived from 239,000 barrels to zero as a result of non-stop oil theft in the last 1 year.
The Bonny terminal, when you inject 239,000 barrels per day, it got to a point where we could only receive about 3,000 barrels per day. And it got to zero and we shut down. So there is simply no business reason for anyone to continue producing oil.
In recent years, the federal government has recycled military operations mandated to stop oil theft in the Niger Delta, the latest being Operation Delta Safe. Sadly, massive oil theft, which has paralyzed the Nigerian economy, occurs right under the nose of security agencies deployed to protect Nigeria's oil and gas assets in the Niger Delta, prompting accusations of military involvement in crude oil theft. In May 2019, Governor Nyesom Wike accused the then General Officer commanding 6th Division of the Nigerian Army, Major General Jamil Sahem, of running an illegal oil bunkering squad with the intention to raise funds to enhance his chances of being appointed Chief of Army Staff.
The GOC has his own team now doing oil bunkering for him. The security are also part of the oil bunkering. Nobody can hide it. When you see his own task force are doing oil bunkering for him, what will he do? Will he arrest them? Will he arrest them? So he has his own team that making money for him. May God save Nigeria.
Confirming Governor Wike's allegation that security agencies were actively involved in oil theft and illegal refining, one of our sources, simply known as Madam Black, a major illegal oil refiner employing dozens of youths in the Niger Delta, told Inside the Niger Delta in an earlier interview that military authorities were involved in the illegal oil business and accused them of high-handedness in sharing the proceeds of illegal oil refining in her camp.
The settlements for Yena die. The settlement, they settle all the security. No security where you say they not the settle. If they say make they blade this, make they open people in even security stuff that they do the business.
That they do with you now.
That they do with us.
That is police,
those, before
army,
the army, everybody.
All
no,
of them inside.
No one when not they do this business. That's why you don't shop for inside the day. So even get boat where they take the supply black. So get camp. So get camp. And they get one character where we say they get. Let's say you settle the security. The day where you know if you settle the other one, go mobilize, go and go destroy everywhere. Like we are the work, so they destroy and they don't destroy and finish. Because of say the oga say that they settle boys, they're not the settlers.
Like most Niger Deltans, Chairman of Committee on Host Communities in the House of Representatives, Honorable Dunamene Deko, strongly believes that the rising magnitude of oil theft is occasioned by the complicity of security agencies.
There's a cartel, and those who are high up there are involved. The security services are also involved, because you can't move a vessel into our waters without some of these vessels being noticed. Most of the young men who see that are doing it for some of these big people.
In his reaction, Chief of Defense Staff General Lucky Irabo, who admits that there are security lapses in safeguarding Nigeria's oil assets in the Niger Delta, says hard times await unscrupulous security personnel in the renewed campaign against oil theft.
Our approach is going to be very comprehensive, and that's why we're here. And of course, I've also told members of the armed forces I'm going to be ruthless with anyone that is found to have engaged in the malfeasance. But I can assure you that at the end of it all, there will be greater improvement in the entire space.
Over the years, the campaign against oil theft in the Niger Delta has become a spider web in which only the small butterflies get caught. NNPC boss Malam Melekiare insists that the real thieves are privileged Nigerians and their accomplices outside the country. He advocates the establishment of special courts to begin to effectively tackle the menace of oil theft, which has left the Nigerian economy in dire straits.
To sell crude oil in the international market, it is not the business of the ordinary people that you see in this illegal refining sector. It's an elitist business. And that we must have the courage to set up very independent special courts to try cases related to this. Otherwise, the impact today it has on our overall economic outlook, our ability to do foreign exchange, and also even in terms of energy security for this country is threatened by very few people.
Sustained crude oil theft over the years has taken a huge toll on the Nigerian economy on several fronts. Right now, not only is the country unable to meet daily production quota of 1.8 million barrels allocated to it by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, as estimated 95% of oil revenues is appropriated by oil thieves at the expense of the generality of Nigerians. No less disturbing has been the frightening state of insecurity imposed by activities of illegal oil bunkers, particularly in Rivers State. In the month of November 2021, no fewer than 9 fire incidents resulting from explosions at various locations in Port Harcourt where illegally refined petroleum products were stored. In the early hours of Wednesday, 16 February 2022, a truck fully loaded with illegally refined premium motor spirit had gone up in flames at Iba community in Emoha local government area of Rivers State, destroying several houses and shops. Shortly afterwards, in the month of March 2022, 2 separate fire incidents linked to storage of illegally refined petroleum products occurred at the exhibit yard of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in Iriebe Town and Abonima Wharf in the Port Harcourt metropolis. According to Chairman of Port Harcourt City Local Government Area, Allwell Ihunda, the fire outbreak at Abonima Wharf emanated from shanties housing illegally refined petroleum products.
The fire came as a result of storage of these profile products within the illegal structures situated on the road to the tank farms around this area.
In the last 1 year, the many fire disasters occasioned by activities of illegal oil bunkering in Port Harcourt and its environs have claimed several lives and destroyed properties worth billions of naira. In River State and other parts of the Niger Delta, illegal oil refining is a time bomb capable of unleashing mass destruction on lives in no distant time. In several communities, toxic waste products from artisanal crude oil refineries are constantly discharged into farmlands and natural water bodies on which the people depend for their livelihoods. In the same vein, artisanal crude oil refiners constantly release poisonous gas into the atmosphere, which for many years has had a soot blanket. The soot prevalence in Port Harcourt releases pollutant particles surpassing a diameter of 2.5 micrometers, which is roughly 3 times above the World Health Organization's annual air quality value. Deborah Effiong of the Civil Society Coalition on Human Rights and Civic Spaces in River State says residents in the Niger Delta are endangered daily by the illegal activity.
We had an opportunity to do an overfly, over Port Harcourt. You could see the refineries have tripled. Looking around the creeks, the entire creeks that make up River State, there are splinter spots of, burning of crude everywhere. The appearance of the soot has to do with, the artisanal refinery going on in the States. All over, everywhere is gone, completely gone.
Port Harcourt-based medical practitioner Dr. Fidelis Chukwuma attributes rising cases of respiratory illness to the soot prevalence in the River State capital.
If you go to the respiratory unit, you find more of respiratory diseases presented. And of course, before now, we used to have more of diarrhea and vomiting in children, but now we have more of constant cough, constant catarrh, and sneezing among children. Sometimes we have people just wake up and they tell you they are very weak and they have headache. Your mind wants to start going for malaria, and you keep treating for malaria, yet it's not malaria, only for it to discover some of the effects of the black soot.
In the midst of the excruciating pain communities have gone through as a result of illegal oil refineries, state governments in the Niger Delta have done little to save lives and property, with the exception of Governor Nyesom Wike, who in January this year declared a manhunt for artisanal crude oil refiners operating in River State. Vice President of Renewable Energy Efficiency Association of Nigeria, Professor Magnus Onoha, warned state governments in the region to act fast and save lives.
The movement of the governor of River State, moving from communities to look at those illegal refineries. It was commendable. It's a collective effort of all the 9 governors to come together to share enough of this. It's not about politics, it's not about whether you are PDP or APC or Labour Party. No, it's about the people of Niger Delta.
No doubt the activities of artisanal crude oil refiners have visited untold pain and anguish on several communities where they operate, but their operation isn't just about destruction. As a matter of fact, artisanal oil crude refiners have over the years made significant contributions to boost domestic production of crude oil, for which the federal government has no capacity and is currently implementing a policy of fuel importation. However, frontline Niger Delta activist Charles Taylor says there's nothing like fuel importation, as Nigerians depend to a large extent on petroleum products refined by artisans in the Niger Delta.
It is this crude oil that is being supplied all over the filling stations. Federal government is only telling us they are bringing fuel from here, they are bringing fuel from here, they are bringing fuel from here. All the fuel they are bringing is from the creek. They are the same thing that they are putting in the tank, bringing in the filling station, selling us. We have not seen any imported fuel in the Niger Delta. So long as the federal government does not have the political will to open the MAMODE refinery, this fuel business will not going to stop.
In acknowledgement of the ingenuity of artisanal refiners, the federal government, for the opt-in time in January this year, promised to integrate them into the value chain of crude oil and gas production, with the establishment of 18 modular refineries that would provide them an alternative source of livelihood. At the time, Minister of State for Environment Sharon Ikeazu had in a press statement observed that the federal government would train artisanal crude oil refiners on environmental management, including skills required for spill management and remediation. However, nothing has been heard from the government, a development that gives many Niger Deltans cause for worry.
How do we get them out of this illegality since they have acquired some skills? Is there a way we can organize them into this structure, a proper structure, such that they stop destroying the environment?
Maybe, the modular refinery thing has been politicized, although we know. But if you can create it in such a way that you cluster them, create small refineries, modular refineries, or go and look and see how you can build upon what they're doing, I think by so doing, all this oil theft and whatever they call it will stop.
Oil-producing communities are undoubtedly the worst casualties of oil theft and artisanal refining in the Niger Delta, where quality of life is on a steady decline. In the renewed campaign against oil theft, they are expected therefore to support the federal government to succeed. However, most Niger Deltans insist that non-state actors could not have appropriated so much of Nigeria's main natural resource to themselves without the support of state actors. In the renewed fight against oil thieves, all agencies of the federal government should leave above board to salvage an already battered economy and protect lives in the Niger Delta.
Inside the Niger Delta,